Hello, this is Igoro, host of the Igoro Show, and you are listening to the Steve and Crypto Show. So keep your ears open and your mouth shut.
Hey, welcome to the Steve and Crypto Show presented by thestevestrout.com. I am Steve.
I'm Crypto Zoo.
How are you guys doing? It's been a pretty good week. About you? You having a good week?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. I'm happy to say that I think we're reaching, what is this, episode 35, 36?
34, 35. It's we're in the 30s now.
Yeah,
we're in the 30s.
I think we're in the mid 30s now.
We're in the 30s.
You know, so feeling pretty good. Not over the hill. But no, it's been a good week. Just been hanging out, working, and trying to watch a little bit of content here and there when I can. There's a lot of new things coming out. Yes. New Loki, the Tomorrow War, the Amazon exclusive.
Did you watch it
with Chris Pratt? I watched.
Is that any good?
Yeah. I watched part of it. What I saw was cool. It takes a little bit to get going, but the aliens look really, really neat.
Do they? I'll have to definitely check that out. I've had a couple other people tell me it was good. So, before we get into all that stuff, want to thank you guys for coming back. Thank you guys for visiting our Buy Me a Coffee page. And if you haven't yet, head over to buymeacoffee.com/Steve Crypto and contribute to the show. Help us out however you can. A little bit, a lot, anything. It all helps. It all helps improve the show. It goes into upgrading the gear. It goes into promoting the show. It goes into making every aspect of it better, which is what we want to do for you guys. And
that's right.
Right now, while we're in July, if you get on the Buy Me a Coffee and buy us a coffee before July 31st, your name will be entered in a drawing for a little prize pack that me and Crypto are putting together. Cool little odds and ends and spooky stuff and probably some collectibles and maybe a movie or two. And we'll see. It's going to be a surprise, but it's going to be cool shit and it's going to be worth it. We're doing that. And also we are going to invite the winner onto the show to tell us about your life, or maybe you're working on a cool project or anything. We'll talk about whatever you want. The floor is yours. Just come on, hang out. Let's have some fun. So head over to buymeacoffee.com/Steve Crypto and help the Steve and Crypto Show. And another way you could help the Steve and Crypto Show, I feel like I'm rambling right now, but another way you can help us out is by just sharing the show on social media or, wherever you listen. Let people know that you listen, or even if you don't listen, share the show. It's the best way to spread the word on no budget is for all our friends and family and actual listeners to just keep sharing and letting people know about us. We definitely appreciate it, and it means a lot to us, and it motivates us when we see somebody share us or promote us out there or comment on our show or anything. It motivates us to do better, to get better.
Yeah. I mean, we might be 30 something episodes in, but we're still learning quite a bit and have plenty of room. Yeah, we're rookies. We still have plenty of improvement, and plenty of room for improvement. So we want to just thank anyone who has been listening, anyone who has been sharing the show, telling people about it. We don't want to scare anyone away with the horror aspect of the show, but again, that's not all that we talk about here. We try to keep it open. We try to have a wide umbrella, pop culture discussions and topics and whatnot. So, if you are not into horror, that's okay. You can still come and talk to us on the show. You can still listen to the show and find something to enjoy. Every episode is not about horror. So
yeah, I mean we do. I mean we lean on horror a lot because it's like one thing that we both are. It's like a passion of both of ours. So obviously we're going to talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
But there's other cool stuff we talk about on here, and it's working. People are starting to listen, so that's good. We mentioned we're a new-ish show, kind of rookies, but apparently people like us enough to get our names included in the podcast awards. I believe it's podcastawards.com. You could go there, and we're on the list of shows eligible to be nominated for awards in a couple categories. We're in a People's Choice category and entertainment category. So if you guys are digging, you want to head over to the Podcast Awards website. And I think it takes a moment. You got to register so you could vote, but it takes just a second. And they don't like sell your info or anything, so it's safe. But get over there, podcastawards.com, and show some love to the Steve Crypto Show. And
yes, please.
Any other shows you dig on there? There's a lot of shows eligible for these awards, so go check it out.
Even if you don't like them, vote for them anyway.
Or just even if you don't like us, even if you don't like us, vote for us.
Just give us a vote anyway.
It means a lot that we're even included at this point in our, I want to say career, but I guess you gotta be getting paid to consider it a career. Is that something? I don't know, but it means a lot that we are even in the conversation. So the podcastawards.com, get over there, nominate us or whoever you feel is your choice.
Spread the word. Tell anybody you know that listens to podcasts. Go check it out.
Yeah, if you do, like I said, if you do vote, let the world know that you did vote. And I guess they throughout like August they go through the process of judging and stuff. I think you have till July 31st to vote. Same thing with our Buy Me a Coffee contest. So everything, you got to get all this shit done by July 31st. So support the show in two different ways by July 31st. Help us out. Go to buymeacoffee.com/Steve Crypto. Go to podcastawards.com till the 31st and help us out in multiple different ways. Because like we always say, we're doing this for you guys because we appreciate you guys and we like to have fun. We have a fucking blast just bullshitting here. Like, we both are full-time workers. We work with the public all day. And this is like our outlet to release and prevent our heads from exploding and going postal and all that stuff.
Yeah, we love coming here and talking about all the shit that we love, everybody has to work. You may or may not love your job, but if you're listening to this show, you probably love pop culture of some sort. So we come here and have some fun, have some laughs, and maybe give you a little information on movies and projects that are coming.
So and speaking of projects coming out, our last episode we talked about the Forbidden Museum comic that just launched on Kickstarter. It's a really cool comic based on the classic monster lore. It's kind of like in the vein of like Hammer horror films. It's like a cross between Hammer Dracula films and like Indiana Jones. It's like an adventure horror thing, and it's really cool.
And if you want to hear more about that, you can listen to our last episode.
Check out the last episode. The Forbidden Museum episode. It was a good one. Craig, the writer, good dude, very enthusiastic, which really goes a long way with me in selling a project.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if this dude's pumped and like excited about it and has a good story behind it, it's like, I'm for it. I'll support it, or I'll share it online. in this case, I'm going to buy the comics because I really want to read them. I'm interested. So
yeah, me too.
That was pretty good. So it's a good horror comic that's coming out really soon. Since we're talking about horror, might as well go ahead and mention our friends over at Fright Rags. They're about to launch, or they might have just launched a restock of some of their most requested officially licensed Killer Clowns from Outer Space t-shirts. And they're also adding a brand new exclusive cotton candy gun Killer Clowns Kiss mashup design by artist Yannick Bouchard.
You pulled the trigger on my cotton candy gun.
That's awesome. Like it's a cool looking design. If you head over to their they posted it under Instagram, some pictures, so go check it out. If you don't know about Fright Rags, Crypto will tell you about them.
That's right. Fright Rags has been bringing you the best in horror apparel and accessories since 2003, offering a wide range of products for your favorite creature features, slasher flicks, and cult classics. Collections include John Carpenter's Halloween, Universal Monsters, Night of the Living Dead, Creepshow, Twin Peaks, Evil Dead, and so many more. All they're officially licensed and available soon or now at fright-rags.com. Again, fright-rags.com. Steve and Crypto Show listeners get 10% off when they use code SteveCrypto10, one word, SteveCrypto10 at checkout.
Steve Crypto 10. Get over there and get that discount. Get some of that cool Fright Rags swag and get that get the Kiss mashup. Yes, do it. That's awesome.
Because when you are wearing that and you're walking around somewhere, the average person is not going to know what that is. But a Killer Clowns fan like me will point that out and probably get excited and want to know where you got it. You can tell them fright-rags.com. Steve Crypto 10.
I heard about it on the Steve and Crypto Show. There you go.
That's right.
Yeah, that's it's a good site. I dig it. We just gave you a list of sites to go check out. Go check them all out. Go support them all. It's all good stuff. Last week we mentioned you mentioned that you started the Fair Street movie based on the R.L. Stine books, and I finally got around to checking out the first movie.
1994.
Yep, last weekend, like after we spoke about it, and I was like, okay, this was cool. I dig it. Yeah. It was for Netflix horror. It was pretty good. There's a lot, a lot of good kills, and
they definitely weren't shy on the kill scenes.
It's definitely earned its R rating. The second movie was really good too, which just came out this week, and I went through and watched that one. I won't say too much about that. But like my only gripe with these things that they're so very cliche in the storytelling. You know what I mean? There's like it's all so derived from other things, like other movies. Which I mean, I'm cool with that as long as you tell a good story and it's a good written movie and it looks cool, which they did. Yep. So I'm happy with them. And I'm still like fucking hyped about the bread slicer kill.
Yeah.
Like if you guys haven't watched it, I don't want to give away too much, but just watch for the bread slicer kill. It was one of the most original death scenes I've seen in a horror movie in a while.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that you would have seen back in the 80s or 90s film.
I feel like I should have seen it. I can't recall ever seeing. Like just if you haven't seen it, I don't want to tell you too much about the movies because they're still being released. But like if you ever been in a supermarket or a bakery when they have those big fucking heavy duty bread slicers that they put the whole loaf through and it cuts the bread up in slices. Just picture that and somebody's head going through it. But anyway.
Yeah. So part 2 is called 1978 for anyone who hasn't checked it out yet. And then we get part 3 next Friday, the 16th. Yes. Yeah. I believe that one's called 1666.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, 1666, huh?
Yeah.
something devilish going on apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah, they're doing pretty good. They're pretty cool for Netflix stuff. I mean, I guess we're gonna have to start to expect Netflix and Amazon and these streaming services to put out the good shit because they're basically taking over the industry.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
I
I
mean,
want to see more. Hopefully, this has been a good year for horror. We talked a couple episodes back about how some of the top grossing films, though things are way down because of COVID, were horror movies. And then we got stuff like this coming out on the mainstream streaming services. It's like an upswing. Like, it's cool, man. I'm
it's
digging
kind
it.
of giving a little bit of more hope for the horror community.
Yeah. And I just hope it opens people's minds up to these movies as more like art rather than just like, it's people dying and it's gory and this and that. It's like, no, it's like those scenes are all like manufactured by artists. You know what I mean? They're artists making these scenes come to life, and it's people got to look at it more from that perspective.
And people like us are appreciating, the realism of it and just how they execute each scene, and and then if you take all that away, there's often still a pretty decent story depending on the horror film.
Even the bad stuff, like even like the stuff that's not the best effects and stuff, like when we had Addison from that did Psycho Ape, like the stuff they did, it's not perfect, but it's like it was creative, and just to see them put their creativity on screen like that, to me is really cool.
The average person may not appreciate it, but I know a lot of horror fans listening to this show probably do appreciate the process a little bit more than some folks, so we like seeing how it's made, and like, oh, they had to mix this and this to make the green blood that they wanted to come out of this monster that they had in this scene, and then we just all the little details, it's fun.
Art,
and
it's an art, and
and
I think by people not looking at that's why horror is so like marginalized and like kind of pushed to the side and not taken serious. But I think over this past couple years, it's starting to change. You know what I mean? Like, movies getting great reviews and press, like when the Invisible Man movie got almost 2 years ago now. You know what I mean? That got great reviews and mainstream success.
I think Walking Dead helped a lot.
You think so?
Yeah.
But I mean,
it kind of helped with like normalizing horror and people talking about horror a little bit more.
I think it did open it up to more like, TV.
Yeah.
In that sense.
Like if you think of my neighborhood, let's say there's like 20 houses here. Maybe before Walking Dead, you might have 4 houses that are like talking about horror on a regular night of the week and watching stuff like that. Now, since Walking Dead, there's probably like 17 out of 20 in the neighborhood that are normally discussing hey, you see what happened on Walking Dead? If you see what I'm getting at here.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like,
and horror
opening the door a bit.
Yeah, it's helped to make horror not so like hush hush. People talk about it a little bit more than they used to.
It was always there, but it needed a couple things, like you said, like a show like The Walking Dead, or like a couple movies to do well on a mainstream level to kind of kick the door down, which I think is what's happening this year. And we're like, we're a thing too. You know what I mean? Like, love us too, because we're working hard and putting great art out there too. We're not just fucking weirdos that like blood and shit. We're not psychopaths. We just enjoy the art of filmmaking, and it's really prevalent in horror movies.
Yeah. Yes, it is. And imagination, I love seeing a great creature feature with something that I can use as an escape. That's what movies have always been for me, is an escape from the real world, and get me out of, whatever I'm dealing with for an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever. And I want to see something that I will never see in the real world. There's plenty of horror movies that are a little truer to life, or a little, more believable, that are fun. But I love a good monster movie.
Yeah, like you said, it's an escape.
Yeah,
movies should be an escape.
Yeah, and I want to see a creature that a Tom Savini or someone like that put together and put some thought and love into, and you're like, wow, that's coming from someone's imagination. Like watch Tomorrow War, and you'll see those aliens in there. You're like, okay, somebody had to think of that, and it's really neat. It's just, I don't know. I give those people a little bit more credit. Like there's plenty of other movies outside of horror that I enjoy, other genres and whatnot, but they'd be a little bit better if they had a monster in them.
Yeah, no, I think it's really, really starting to get a little more open,
mainstream.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think another thing to circle back, you mentioned like Walking Dead and stuff like that. Another show that really helped push it to the forefront is Stranger Things.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
You know what I mean? That was like a pop culture sensation, and it basically, the roots of it is a horror. It's horror.
Yeah.
So it's
well, of course, sci-fi too, but definitely horror.
Yeah.
Did you hear that they're supposedly coming back, but it sounds like they're doing one final season, and I guess the Duffer Brothers want to move on to something else.
Yeah, I'm sure all of the kids are gonna end up moving on to big careers too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The 11 girl, what's her name? Millie Bobby Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I hear Millie Bobby Brown, I think of fucking Bobby Brown from the Singers. My prerogative. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyways,
all those kids are probably going to move on to some cool projects. A couple of them have already been in.
She's already been in stuff. The Godzilla movies. We mentioned some of the top horror sci-fi movies of the year. One of them was Godzilla versus Kong, and she was the star of those movies.
Yep, she was in those films. One of the boys was in It, the newer versions of It.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, he was a little funny kid with the glasses.
Yeah. Eddie, I believe. Yeah, he's pretty funny. And for anybody who's listening, this skit is a few years old now, but go on YouTube and check out Saturday Night Live Stranger Things clip. It's very funny. You'll get a laugh from that.
Oh, yeah. I think we talked about that recently. I don't know, not on the show, but we just discussed it. I think we were talking about it when we were on our way to the Olympic Collectible Expo a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
We're sweating our fucking balls off in 100 degrees. But anyways, so yeah, that's been good stuff. The Fair Street movies, check them out.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not going to say anything at all about it, but I paid the $30 to Disney Plus last night and watched the Black Widow movie, and I am happy to have spent the $30 to watch it. It was good, man. It was like, it was her movie, Scarlett Johansson's movie, right? Yeah, Scarlett Johansson.
Yep.
She's supposed to be the star of the movie, but it was more like a ensemble fucking, like all the main cast, just like
Rachel Weisz, and then Hopper from Stranger Things.
Yeah, like like I feel like they might, like the guy who plays as Hopper, I can't even think of his name. Dude, that was the fucking shitty Hellboy.
So shitty Hellboy,
Hellboy, and
Black Widow get together.
And the lady who played as
the mummy's girlfriend,
the lady who played as her sister in the movie. The Rachel Weisz was okay. Her role is smallish, but the lady who played as a sister, her and shitty Hellboy, like kind of over. I feel like they overshadow her, but not like in a bad way to like make her forgettable, but it was just like they were on the level. You know what I mean? She was already the established hero.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we expected to be the movie about her being the hero, but these other people were just like on the level with her. It was good. It was that's what I mean by like it was just a good ensemble. Just they just all work so well together. Made a action wise, it was fucking badass as any of the Marvel stuff. It was really good.
Was Shitty Hellboy a new great addition to the team?
Was he fun to watch?
I just like saying Shitty Hellboy.
Shitty Hellboy, but he yeah, man, it was good. It was, you know, had humor, had all the fucking shit you usually get in a Marvel universe movie. Mm-hmm. It was just good. I mean, like, if you got extra $30, throw it down.
When does this one take place again?
I think it's right before Civil War.
Okay.
Because she's kind of on the run right now. And, you know, a couple of them, the Avengers been arrested and Steve Rogers is on the run somewhere. So it's right around that point. I mean, that's really all I'll give away because people should go see it. Go to the theater and watch it. I'm probably going to go rewatch it in the theater because I've watched all the other Marvel movies. I was just talking with our friend James about that. Like, we've seen every fucking Marvel movie in theaters, so I'm not going to break the streak now. So I'll probably go watch it. I'll let people go and I'll wait till a week or two when it quiets down a little bit. Then I'll go watch it, but I'm definitely going to go see it in the theater. It's fun. I had a blast. But I am not disappointed that I watched it at home for $30 rather than at the theater for $70. You know what I mean? Like after you buy your drink and your popcorn and your red vines and the movie ticket, you're fucking like $50 in the hole.
Well, that's why you go to Safeway or Dollar Tree beforehand, and then you just
just hustling. I don't recommend doing that because we need to support our local theaters.
Well, you know, if they wouldn't charge like $11 for a small popcorn, then maybe I would.
They got to pay the angry kid serving my popcorn, so that acts like he hates his life. But
so you want that with or without spit?
Yeah.
It's $4 more without the spit.
I'm usually okay with because like going to the movies is one of my big things that I love to do. So I'm all right. I bitch about it because you know it's like fuck. I work hard and I'm not going to throw this money away. But then usually by the end of the day, I'm not disappointed. I get a good movie and get some snacks, fill up on too much popcorn, and end up being gassy for 2 days. But popcorn gets me, and there's your fart comment for the episode, everybody. So don't try to call me on that one.
Yeah, don't be coming trying to sue us because we left one out.
Yeah.
No, I love going to the theater too. It's always been a fun experience, and but it's a little more expensive than it used to be, especially when you're a parent, you know. And you know, I love going, and I got to be picky and try to find a movie that's worth going, you know, for the big screen experience, a movie that deserves that. Black Widow, I'll take your word on it. I'm sure it deserves a big screen treatment. You know, anything Star Wars related, I want to go see it on a big screen. Yeah. So there's some that I can just wait, you know, until they're out on DVD or whatever.
I mean, I got it on Disney Plus now, so you're welcome to come by and watch it. But yeah, bring the kids. That's cool. They can't touch my toys. That's my rule. Anybody comes over with kids, I'm like, one rule: don't touch the toys. Don't touch the fucking toys. Those are my toys. But yeah, man. Speaking of going places, a few weeks back, I had my little road trip I went on. Took that couple of days off for work and went down to Ocean Shores, Washington, and I came back and I was all fucking hyped up about a vintage antique collectible retro shop that I went to called Nate's Vintage down in Ocean Shores, Washington. So if you guys are in Washington, Western Washington, or anywhere, or you plan to come here, add a trip to Ocean Shores into your itinerary and go to this shop because it's cool. I got conversations, got to know the owner, Nate Hamilton, a little bit, and in our conversations, it came up the fact that he had been he had a Bigfoot sighting and some experiences with like UFO sightings, and heard a lot of stories. So I was like, we always, we've mentioned before that like we want to have people come on and tell us some of this stuff. So I was like, let's have Nate come on and promote his store and tell us some of his crazy stories. So on this episode, we have a little conversation we had with Nate Hamilton from Nate's Vintage and Ocean Shores. So he came on and told us a little about shop and how he got started, picking and flipping stuff, and told us some interesting little stories and his thoughts on Bigfoot and aliens and shit. So
yeah, Nate's a great guy, and I really hope that all of you guys listening enjoy this conversation. The stories that he had to tell were right up our alley, and I'm glad that Steve went out that way and ended up meeting him, because he was a great guest and addition to our show and the many guests that we've had. So hope you guys enjoy this one.
Heck yeah, check it out. Meet Nate Hamilton. Hey, we are on the Steve and Crypto Show with my new friend, Nate Hamilton. If you guys remember a couple episodes back, I was hyped up and I really talked up this really cool shop I went to on my vacation in Ocean Shores, Washington, the shop's called Nate's Vintage. And it's like, I described it to Crypto as being inside, like, by imagination, going in the shop. It was like cool, man. He has like floor to ceiling, just everything pop culture, nerdy, spooky, kooky, weird, just all kinds of just vintage and modern and just crazy. Like if you're a collector of anything and you go in the shop and you don't find some shit that you don't want, like you're not a collector.
You're not looking hard.
You're not looking hard. He's got something for everybody in there. But yeah, we're here with Nate Hamilton, the owner of Nate's Vintage in Ocean Shores, Washington. Tell us a little about yourself and how the shop started and all that important stuff.
Well, thanks guys for having me. I appreciate you giving me a huge shout out, more than huge. So thank you. I created this. Well, the wife and I, she's kind of the visionary behind my ideas. She makes it possible. So I want to give her a shout out for that.
Yes,
thanks, Marty. So it started as a kid. I lived near Huntington Beach in Orange County, and I used to dumpster dive with my other buddies, and we'd turn junk into treasures for other people, and I'd sell them. Well, and that's how it all started. But the first time I really did a shop was out in Georgetown at the Trailer Park Shopping Mall. So, and it was by the stables, and it's called Clyde and Son Salvage after Sanford and Son. So, right. And I did that for a year, but I bartended 25 years in Seattle. So I met a lot of cool cats, and I'd buy all my merchandise on Sundays at the Fremont Market. I'd go there early in the morning because I bartended at the Red Door in Fremont, which was right up the stairs from the market they had. So I'd find all this cool stuff early in the morning, and I'd either have it behind the bar and someone would want to buy it, or I'd take it home and I'd flip it at the shop.
Right.
So that's how it all kind of started. But I've always been into the weird, into Sasquatch, Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, the paranormal.
Yeah.
It's just been in my nature since I was a kid. And I've seen quite a few things which I can't explain. And it helps now that the government came out with information on these UFOs that they've been monitoring for the longest time. So it gives my credibility has kind of gone up in stock compared to being made fun of as a kid.
Right.
So yeah.
So how long ago did you say you opened Nate's in Ocean Shores?
Oh, Nate's in Ocean Shores. It was ironic that we did a mic drop and sold everything in Seattle. And we moved out here in September of 2019. And I opened the shop in January of 2021. So it's been open now for over a year and a half.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So when I went to the shop, I felt like it's been there for years and it's like a local institution. You know what I mean? I feel like it was part of the community already for a long time, and it's only been a year.
That vibe. We had a little time off during the virus. So from from Halloween of 2020 to Valentine's Day of 2021. Ironic days to be closed. So in between that time, we hit estate sales, we hit garage sales, we hit thrift stores, and I reached out to people and said, find me weirdness, and they succeeded. So, and one of the thrift stores in town here is a cool thrift store, Anchor's thrift store. So
Anchor's. I think we might have popped in there.
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah, went there, and there was a couple other in the region there. Because we stayed in Pacific Beach, I think it's called.
Right. Yeah.
And we went to Sue's.
Yeah, Sue's Rusty. Yeah,
that's a cool shop too, man.
Yeah,
she got some cool stuff there.
Yes, anything you want from the past.
Yeah,
she probably has it. She's a historian, and I got to give her huge props.
That's actually when I walked in there. She was like, "Hey, I know you. You're from a picture from Nate's." Like, wow, that was like 10 minutes ago. Yeah,
yeah, we're all family here, so
that's cool, man. I dig that. I dig that vibe.
Get around.
Yep. So I'm a local celebrity now.
Yes, you are.
But yeah, you mentioned encounters and stuff you had a couple minutes ago. We definitely want to hear about them. I'm one of those people that I want to believe that Bigfoot's real, and I really feel strongly that there's aliens and all that good stuff and interesting things. And I've personally never known anybody that's had these encounters, so I want to hear directly from.
Yeah, I'm with Steve. I definitely want to hear about it too. I've always kind of wanted to believe these sort of things. And real quick, I feel like some of you listeners might feel this is a little weird, but if there's 14 planets on the solar system that we know of, why would any of us think that this is the only one that has life on it?
Right.
You know, it's just something to think about. I like to be on the fence about these sort of things. So,
Amen.
Yeah, please give us some tales.
First of all, Nate's Vintage. I let people come in and talk. So I get quite a few people. I start the conversation. I'm the weird guy. It's like, hey, by the way, I've seen UFO and blah, blah, blah. I've seen more than one, blah. And they kind of feel at ease and they tell me stories. So you mentioned about Bigfoot. I saw one as a kid, but I thought it was a polar bear because it was so huge coming down the hill. So it was grayish, and there are sightings of, they call them albino Sasquatches. But I was like in first grade when I saw that, and I ran as fast as I could to get away. And of course, I'm crying and in tears. And my mom's like, "Oh, son, there are no polar bears." And that was in Kettle Falls, Washington.
How far away do you think you were approximately?
I was probably about 25 feet away. And so being in first grade, probably weighing 40, 50 pounds, I was a skinny kid.
Ran back home with soaked shorts, maybe.
Oh yeah. I was just, And so, that just freaked me out. But, I met some cool people who just last week, a guy came in and bought a bunch of stuff and he's seen two. And I can't get too in detail, but he supports tracking campers and making sure they're okay. I don't know the background on that, but he and his buddy have seen over two of them. And his buddy thinks that they're able to get inside your head and see visually through your eyes so they can track you. And I know it's weird. So the guy's running along and this Sasquatch is off to the left of him. So he decided to close his eyes and kind of keep jogging. And somehow the Sasquatch got confused and got to the right of him. So I don't know. These are just people coming and tell me stories, and I don't know what to believe, but the guy seemed pretty legit on what he's seen. And yeah, man, I think they're out there, and if they want you to see them, they'll show they'll show you their presence. So.
You ever notice when you hear these stories, like I'll watch documentaries or something, and the people telling the stories, that they're so emotional about it that it's hard to not believe them.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't even go back to being that age and having that emotion of what I saw.
Yeah.
But and you're mentioning, it's ironic because I think it gets embedded in your head and you seem to forget things. I used to bartend in Seattle, and one night I'm driving home after 1:30 in the morning. It's pouring down rain, and no drinks. I haven't been drinking. So I lived in West Seattle. And we lived right up on Alki. So I'm driving on Harbor Avenue. That's the strip of Alki. Pouring down rain. And all of a sudden, out of the corner of my left eye, I see this orb come out of nowhere. And this is a good 10 years ago. This green orb, popped out of what the hilltop was and came down and went across my vehicle and went straight across the sound into Pike Place Market. And there are no orbs. I mean, there are no, there weren't any, what are those things called that everyone has now? Drones. There were no drones around back then really at that time of night. And for that thing just to go along the water and just cruise in the Pike Place Market. And I thought I was in shock. And I had my phone next to me and I could have videotaped it, but that's the last thing on your mind because you're just overwhelmed on trying to figure out what is it you just saw.
Yeah, you don't think like, oh, I better get my phone. You're like wondering what the hell is going on. Yeah.
I'm going to make $1 million. That's the last thing on your mind.
That's another thought that I've had about, people that have footage and stuff. It's like you're not supposed to. Like it's like we were saying, like it's the last thought in your mind,
right?
That you're gonna whip out. You just happen to have your camera and see Bigfoot peeking over your fence or something. Like
it'd be blurry though.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, of course.
But the ironic thing is, for the next week, the Coast Guard was scanning that whole area.
Right. So
in the sound
on something
after I saw the orb. So I don't know what it was. I don't know if we're still trying to figure all that out, I think.
Right.
So, yeah. And there's a few other stories I could tell you.
Definitely. I definitely want to hear some stories.
I've been watching, Bigfoot documentaries and all sorts of shows referring to Bigfoot since I was little. And you hear so many different stories from people. I guess in the back of my mind, I've always thought they can't all be lying. They can't all be bullshitting, or, they can't all have seen a bear or seen something else.
Exactly.
There's got to be a couple of them that really saw the real deal, or what we think would be the real deal.
Right.
There's part of me always hopes so.
I think the best stories I remember as a kid, I used to watch In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah.
And there were like 5 different episodes on Sasquatch where it even said they didn't play nice, that there were some that were a threat to humans. So they're just like humans, there are 2 sides.
Yeah.
There's the good ones and the bad ones. So I don't know. Native Americans haven't been wrong.
No, I mean they got stories that go back centuries, so I don't
the First Nation, they've got it all written down. And back then they didn't call him Bigfoot because that was a white man's term.
Yeah.
Of the foot being big. They were just called the Boogeyman, or they had something like 149 names for a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Or a Bigfoot.
Right.
Yeah, so
there's so many different versions of the legend, there's the Oran Pendek, and just I could go on.
Hey, look, I've been called a lot of names, but not that many.
Well, the Patterson video, there's so many. It's the best video out there, and people still say that. Oh, well, the guy came forward and said it was a scam. It wasn't a scam.
Right. That's the one where they caught him. The famous.
Right. Yeah.
Video where they
he was trying to make some money. That's all. But in that video, one guy spent 14 years studying that video, and you can look for it on YouTube, and it shows another Sasquatch in the film. There was a glitch up in the right-hand corner. There was a glitch that hit on 2 pieces of the film, which he said is virtually impossible for it to happen. And so he studied it And those light reflexes, he added filters to them. And where that light blotched twice was where another Sasquatch was walking up the hill. And it is, you can Google it. It's on there. And then another guy took time to realize on Patty's thigh, I think it's her right thigh, there's a big old bulge, and that is a hernia. A doctor says, oh, well, that's a hernia. So you can't fake this stuff. You know, you can't, who's going to take the time to add that extra detail when back then the Planet of the Apes or King Kong was the movie that came out at that time where the technology for that style of a suit was impossible.
Right.
So,
and like really, like what really is there to gain? I mean, a little attention, but it's not like.
Well, back then you were made fun of. There was no attention.
Yeah.
You were made fun of.
So what's the point? Like, why would I put myself out there to be a butt of jokes?
Right.
You know what I mean? To the world.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have I know you can't really see this, but the wife just reminded me because I seem to forget what I've seen in the past. But we lived in California when I was growing up. I moved in third grade to Colville, Washington. That's where and from there to the Yakima Valley. But there's a picture here. I know you guys can probably see it. There is a UFO hovering above us, and this is in a field outside a desert area of California where Dad used to take me pheasant hunting. Oh, but I'll have to send you pictures.
Yeah, definitely send me.
Yeah,
because if it's cool, I'll show them to people. If it's cool with you, yeah.
Well, and I did a reverse search on it, and it pops up with the UFOs that they've seen in the 50s and 60s.
Right.
So.
Did you guys notice that after the fact? Obviously, like you got the film developed and was like, "What the hell's that?" And
we never brought it up. That's the weird thing. And my dad grew up in Hillsdale, Michigan, and it never dawned on me until after I got out of the Air Force when I really looked at it. So it just kind of blended in, and we never thought, oh, look at that blotch.
Well, that's probably how they're doing. You know, how Sasquatch is blending in. You know what I mean? UFOs, aliens are blending in. If they're there, that's how they're doing it because obviously nobody
came in the shop and mentioned that he talked to two Sasquatch researchers, I guess you might call them, and they say that they came here somehow, and it's like a National Enquirer, something you'd see when you're standing in line at the grocery store, which doesn't help because you want to keep an open mind, and that there were vibrations, so that these things were able to disappear because of their high frequency that our eyes can't see them somehow.
Right.
And the reason the Patterson video, it showed the best video of all, was because she was pregnant. And so she couldn't vibrate. I don't know, something weird like that. I know it sounds crazy.
They almost have like a natural cloaking ability or something. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
You know, like really, they've definitely been hard to find. You know, nobody's really
something
besides that video. That's the closest we have to actually.
Well, there's another video on YouTube that was National Geographic. They were filming caribou in Alaska, and it's a video clip that shows. You just Google gorillas seen in between the video. Sorry, I'm getting carried away here because it shows this huge black thing cruising like it's running with the caribou, and something hops off its back and jumps on a caribou and takes it down. It's like the children are learning to hunt at a young age.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I know. Google that. I'm telling you, you won't be disappointed. There's so much on YouTube that you can just search and it's there. And I don't understand how a lot of these people don't say, hey, just check out this video. It's going to make you believe even more in the Patterson video.
Right.
There's certain things that you can just look up on YouTube. The guy I watch the most of all on YouTube is David Paulides. Missing 411. You guys ever watch his stuff?
No, but I'm gonna go look him up after this.
Yeah, dude. The guy's a genius. He's into. Yeah, he cares, and he's going down a major rabbit hole of this. Yeah, and there are so many people that just can go around the corner and they just disappear.
Right.
So yeah, just watch an episode. It's got to be David Politis, The Missing 411, copyright, because there's other people out there trying to use his name, but yeah, that he's got quite a few books out on Missing 411. And I need to get into reading more than watching YouTube. Yeah, because books, I guess
YouTube will definitely suck you in.
Yes, it will.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and he talks about the Skinwalker Ranch, about he's all over the place, and it's good stuff. It's never boring. He had a couple movies come out, the Missing 411 movies.
Well, I'll definitely have to look them up. If anybody listening has seen any of that stuff, hit us up on social media. I want to hear your thoughts on it too, because I definitely, it's intriguing. Definitely intriguing.
It's scary. I don't even want to go out camping anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel the same way too, but I just don't want to sleep on the ground.
Right. The blow up beds.
Yeah, I'm not built for camping anymore. Maybe when I was younger.
And at that point, you're bringing the blow up bed and all that. You're like, what's the point? I might as well just stay home.
Should have just got a hotel room. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's camping for me. A hotel room overlooking the woods. That's as far as I get. Because you don't know what's out in the woods, especially out here. Like back home, I'm from Connecticut, and the scariest thing we saw was like a skunk.
Oh yeah.
Know what I mean? But here, there's freaking cougars and
there's cougars out here, and I'm not talking
bears
about
Right.
Yeah. So it's definitely a different world here than back there.
Going back to Connecticut coming up. My wife's reunion in Newtown, Connecticut.
Okay. Newtown.
Good time. Going in September.
Nice. That should be.
I'm just looking for eating lobster, man. Where they charge lobsters the same price as hamburger.
Eating some lobster.
Yeah, right.
It's a good time to go back. Is it fall starts setting in, and you can't beat autumn in New England, man.
Man, with cheap lobster, that's a good incentive.
Oh man, yeah.
Because up here it's like $25 for a lobster roll.
I know, right? It's insane.
Yeah.
And to think they used to serve those in prison back in the day.
Wow.
That'd be a decent last meal. I mean,
yeah, right. Amen.
Yeah. Did you ever watch Monster Quest when it was on the History Channel?
Yeah, I enjoyed that. It's a little different. I like the visual on it.
It was kind of fun. I mean, they, usually at the end of the episode, you didn't know a whole lot more. But depending on which one you were watching, they did teach me about different versions of Sasquatch.
Exactly.
There was some guy, I can't remember where, maybe Asia, I think, where somebody was flying in a helicopter and they reported that they had a bunch of spears thrown at them, and it looked like there were some little ape men that were they were chucking them up at them.
Yeah.
And so that's supposed to be the Orient Pendek one that I mentioned earlier.
Well, yeah, and they have reports supposedly from the Vietnam War that they've tracked and brought back Sasquatch from Vietnam. So I think, it makes sense that maybe they just saw mankind sucking and they just said, I don't want any part of it. And they went into hiding, and there's so much out there.
Yeah.
Missing, like take the Northwest. There's still over 120 planes missing since World War II, the Pacific Northwest, that have not been found.
Wow.
So, I mean,
if they can't find a plane, then,
And then you have Alaska, which is supposedly the Alaskan Triangle, which are secret alien bases. I mean, there's all kinds of weird stuff going on that are it's all just kind of coming out nonchalantly.
So what?
Man.
So
speaking of, if you guys want to hear the story, it has to do with Hanford and Benton City, City. And so going in the 7th grade. So the mom took my sister and I up to Tri-Cities. If you guys are familiar with Tri-Cities at all, Richland, Kennewick,
Yep.
Pasco. So there's a big mall up there with the Farrells. We'd always hit the Farrells after doing our back to school clothes shopping. And it's a windy summer night, and we're driving back to Grandview, Washington. And we're getting near Prosser. So when you look out to the right, you see Benton City. Well, you'll see power lines going from Benton City to the Hanford. And so from Benton City, they drape over the Columbia River and up and over into the hills. Well, as we're driving back, traffic starts slowing down, and the sun's going down, so it's getting dark. And I look to the right, and I see this huge object that's flashing, and it's hovering over power lines over the Columbia River there. And as I'm looking at that, I'm telling Mom, she's already creeping to maybe 10 miles an hour, and I'm telling her to pull over because my buddy who lived across the street, his brother-in-law has a yellow, and the only reason I'm describing this is how I remember it, has a yellow Volvo station wagon parked off to the side, and he's there standing, staring at this thing. And there's 2 other cars, and I'm not even paying attention to them. So I'm saying, Mom, pull over. Let's just say his name's Bob. I'm like, Mom, pull over. That's Bob. That's Steve's brother-in-law. So she's freaking out. She doesn't want to pull over. And I'm looking at the way he's standing, and he's standing with the movement of the lights of the UFO, which are they're like a white, blue, and red flashing. And you're thinking, oh, well, that's a cop car or whatever. No, this thing's hovering over the power lines, and everyone's taking notice. Well, everyone at that time was maybe 12 cars. So Mom freaks out and takes off. So for the longest time, I'm thinking, oh, well, Steve lives across the street. I'll talk to him about it. It took me, I called him 2 years ago to ask him about this because it was embedded in the back of my head that I always forgot about it. And every time I brought it up, when I'd see him, it would fizzle away in my brain. So the wife's like, hey, she's heard this story a million times. And she's like, okay, today's the day. You call your buddy. Where's he at? So I message him through Facebook, and I'm like, hey, man, you got a second for me to call you? He's like, sure, I got time. So I call him. I'm like, hey, I need to talk to your brother-in-law, Bob. First I said, have I told you the story of the UFO I saw, and I think that your brother-in-law saw it too? And he's like, no. So I'm like, well, I need to talk to Bob. And he's like, well, I'm sorry. Bob passed away a few years back. And so I tell him the story, and I'm like, did your brother-in-law have a yellow Volvo station wagon? He's like, yeah, I don't think he did. So he's like, let me get a hold of my sister, and I'll call you back. He calls me back 5 minutes later. Here's the weird kicker to it. He's like, oh, my God, he did have the yellow Volvo station wagon, but it wasn't the UFO we was standing off to the side of the road for. It was the jets, the fighter jets that scared him off the road. So there were fighter jets. So there were 2 of them. I didn't see the fighter jets. All I saw was a UFO hovering. And I've looked online. I've never talked to MUFON about it. But, Hanford was the place where the first nuclear bomb was built.
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, it's just weird that you forget about it. And the only reason I was able to call him 2 years ago is because I saw a show that had Kurt Russell on it. They're talking about UFOs, and he mentions that he went out, he's married to Goldie Hawn. So he went out one morning. Goldie Hawn was on the couch watching a show about the Phoenix Lights. And most people know about the Phoenix Lights, right?
I'm not super familiar. If you want to.
Well, you have it's a sighting which this thing was hovering for over, I don't know, an hour and a half maybe.
Right.
And no military jets flew over it. No, nothing messed with it. Well, he saw this documentary on it, and he thought it was interesting, the date and the time. And he said, oh my God, I was flying that day. That's odd. I was flying in the area that day. He's a pilot, of course. So he looks in his flight logs, And he was the one who called in the report of this huge object that was just hovering for hours. So there's something mysterious. I don't know if it's in the lights or the noise that kind of hypnotizes you not to ever bring it up.
To forget, yeah.
To forget it, you know?
Yeah. Because, I mean, you personally experienced that with the Hannaford experience.
It took over 40 years for me to bring it up to the guy whose brother-in-law was there and saw it. But he doesn't ever mention seeing a UFO. He remembers the fighter pilots in the jets that scared him off the road.
Wow.
So I'm thinking, was it the Yakima firing range where the jets came from, or Fairchild, or McCord Air Force Base?
Right.
But yeah, I've looked online and there's no reports whatsoever of this incident happening. So if I disappear in the next week, guys, it's been fun. It's been fun.
We'll take over. Yeah. We'll run the shop for you.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. I'll move to Ocean Shores and.
So there's a few other stories, but I'm talking too much, guys.
Oh man, that's why I invited you on. I want to. I need to hear this stuff.
When I was in the Air Force, I got out in 89, 92. I was dating a girl whose brother was a colonel at Mountain Home Air Force Base, Mountain Homes Air Force Base. And so we went there for a weekend. And I remember being in the hot tub. And, Idaho, man, the skies are just everywhere. There's not a whole lot of lights. So I'm kicking back in the hot tub, and I'm looking at the lights, and I swear it's like the Close Encounters where this thing's just covering all the stars. And it was a V-shaped. There were no lights whatsoever. It just was dark, and it cruised over, and it like hit all the stars for 35, 40 seconds, and then it just took off.
Wow, that's weird.
Yeah. But I mean, you just need to look up. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. The wife saw her first UFO when we were at a wedding reception in Winthrop. We were out at this ski park, I guess, area, cross-country ski park, where they are at the reception. About 11 o'clock at night. And I'm a little tipsy, but I still know a star from an airplane or a satellite.
Yep.
So I'm looking at the Big Dipper, and we're both staring at the stars. And all of a sudden, one of the stars starts moving. It would look like part of the Big Dipper. And then it started moving. It blended in, right? And it started moving. And the wife was like, "Oh, well, it's not an airplane, okay? It's not a satellite. It's not going the right way, and it's not going fast enough." And we just keep staring at it. Well, all of a sudden, the thing stops, right? And all these dots start going in a circle, red dots. So this thing had to be huge for me to see the dots going dot, 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 dot. It's like starting up. And then it just disappeared. It's like it just went into hyperspace. Wow. And I'm thinking, okay, there's some technology that they're working on. So either it's one of ours or, it was something I've never seen before. Right. It was a new addition to my UFO collection. Right. But the wife saw it, and so now she realizes I'm not that crazy.
Yeah.
And then when we moved out here, I got it on my cell phone. We're watching this thing cruise around, and it's zipping around. So I'm videotaping it. But when I look at it when I see the final result, I need to find a filter to adjust the settings so you can see the stars. But this thing turned on a dime. It turned on a dime. So it's like, Oh, and the wife's doing a zigzag while she's eating an apple. She's calling it a Yui. And I'm saying, well, yeah, it's a Yui, but it turned on a dime. It was going so fast, and it just turned and went the other way.
Yeah, it's not like a plane because definitely not moving like that.
The lights were not. It was just one solid light. It wasn't really anything else. And it wasn't, Elon Musk has all these things up floating around now in space.
Yeah.
For his internet, I guess his free internet or something like that.
Right. I think he's going to be up there soon, isn't he?
I think it's Richard Sir Richard Branson first.
Branson, yeah, I think they're racing to get there first or something.
And then Jeff's going like a week later.
Yeah.
Hey, what if they're getting off the planet first and they're just not telling us that shit's going down
And they know
they're jumping ship? They're gonna be like,
figure the rich guys will get the first dibs.
yeah, right. Yeah. It's like Moonraker with James Bond. Got the crazy billionaires wanting to start the new Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
Well, if any of us regular Joe Schmoes make it there, they're going to have a war waiting.
Yeah.
Right. I think Joe Rogan will be there. He's got enough money now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Rogan. After that Spotify deal.
Right?
Wait, hold on. Did he just make a deal with?
Yeah, I think he got like $100 million.
Yeah, he got big bucks.
Yeah.
Big bucks. So good for him, though.
I mean,
I liked him on talk radio.
Yeah, I listened to him. Show? Depending on the guest, I love listening.
Or no, was it called News Radio? It was a show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was Phil Hartman and all that. Yeah, he was on there.
Yeah, he's a busy guy, between doing news radio and then eventually he did. Well, I mean, of course, he's always done stand up, and then what else? Oh, he hosted the Man Show for a couple of years, I think.
What was that show where he had to eat strange objects?
Yeah, Fear Factor.
Fear Factor,
yeah.
Yep. And then the UFC.
Yeah, through the whole time. Yeah, all along.
He said, though, that he was stoned half the time during Fear Factor. When you watch the first couple of seasons, he looked pretty relaxed.
Yeah.
They're like, here, you got to eat this bull penis.
Yeah,
whoa.
You definitely have to be a little relaxed to be around all that. As soon as they took out like spiders or something, I'm like, nope, I quit.
Right. I'm out.
It's like, hold on, let me hit this joint. All right, I feel a little better about this now.
Exactly.
Wow. I didn't know that he signed a big deal with. I mean, I know he was making good money already, like with his podcast and stuff. I didn't know.
About a year ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that where he moved to LA?
Yeah.
He's probably been there a while, I think.
And I think he moved to LA.
Yeah, I think he's in LA. A lot of the podcasting guys seem to be moving there or moving to Texas, I guess. They seem to be having a lot of luck out there. I listen to like Tom Segura and what's his name? Joey Diaz and some of those guys, and a few of them have moved down that way, I guess. So maybe there's a lot of opportunities there for podcasters.
Yeah, right? Los Angeles, man. Lost Angels.
Yeah. Never been.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, you got to go once, man.
Yeah, I'll get there someday. I just think feel like nowadays it's probably not a great place to be. Like
I was in LAX for 2 hours. Does that count?
Actually, you can still pose in LAX.
Yeah.
Some celebrities.
I'd like to have gone to LA and Hollywood back in like the heyday of like the 40s and 50s and hang out in Hollywood and mingle with the stars, but now it just seems a little too trashy. I don't know.
There's definitely one place I'd love to go to if I went to LA, and that would be the Scum and Villainy Cantina in downtown Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you can actually go there and get a glass of blue milk or, whatever. I'm sure they have other sorts of alcoholic drinks that look like Star Wars themed drinks, but, I'm definitely having some blue milk.
It doesn't Kevin Smith do his episodes of one of his shows there?
They do Fat Man Beyond there, him and Mark Bernardin. Yeah. Okay. So you can go watch a live show, I'm sure there's a lot of awesome stuff to do there. I still want to check out that bar. I just want to say that I went to not the main thing, but that's one. Like that's on the checklist. If I go to LA, I want to go
all the way to LA
bar
for a glass of blue milk.
I'm not going all the way for that, but if I'm there, I have to go to the Star Wars bar. Why not?
Right. Why not, man?
Why not?
But are you going to dress up when you go?
Probably not.
Cooler if you do.
I know. It'd be a lot cooler if I did.
Dress like a Jedi or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it sounds like you've seen a lot of cool stuff, interesting stuff.
it's just cool meeting people that tell their stories.
Yeah.
I love
like you said, you probably get a lot of them through your shop.
Well, yeah, the wife says, be careful what you wish for, because that's what I wanted. I wanted a spot where people could come in and bullshit and tell their stories, So it's a safe haven. They're not going to be made fun of. One guy, I can't get into too much detail, but his wife saw a UFO. They woke up on their couch after seeing it. He had these visions in his dreams to create this object, and he created it, patented it. He was harassed for a while, but long story short, he sold his patent to the government, and now he's retired and living on a ranch somewhere like near Canada.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I need me. Why not me? Why not me?
I mean,
I'm here, aliens. Come put something in my head so I could get rich.
And harassed and all that. So is it worth it? That kind of money.
Right.
You'd be lucky if they just put something in your head, Steve.
Yeah.
You'd be getting off light.
Right. Yeah, they ain't putting that nowhere else. That's sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I'll pass. But
Moon River.
Yep. Let's talk a little more about the shop. What are some of your favorite items that have come through that place?
Gosh.
I mean, you gotta love it all, but
yeah, and it's well, I think the stuffed bobcat. I got this owl from a guy who, it's a stuffed owl, and it came from Nebraska. It was his dad's. He needed some gas money to get to a hospital in Tacoma, and so I bought it from him. And just his story, he knew Cal Worthington. He was a car salesman for Cal Worthington, and if anyone doesn't know Cal Worthington, he's a hot shot in California, but then went to jail, I think, or had to pay something. Anyway, it was just cool that he came in, and that thing I can't sell ever. It's just the history behind it, and it's at the shop. I meet some cool people, and they bring in all kinds of cool stuff. I had this beautiful 100% silk Hawaiian print jacket that was made in Hong Kong, and the wife found it at this estate sale, and I loved it. And my God, if I was thin, I'd be able to wear that thing. But we sold that. That was one of my favorite things that I was hoping, when old age really kicked in, that, you really start losing weight and I'd be able to wear that jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that didn't happen, Steve.
Not working out for you?
Now that I got a new smoker.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go.
I've scored some ET dolls, and it's so cool because this one young girl came in and saw it. She's never seen the movie, but she now carries it around with her everywhere and loves the movie.
Oh, that's cool.
Which that is, if you guys want to get weird, that supposedly Steven Spielberg is kind of the go-to guy for the government to make it easy for us to visualize an alien invasion. So E.T. was actually a story from the Roswell incident where the leftover alien and the soldier bonded. And when the alien was hungry, the soldier was hungry. When the alien was sick, the soldier got sick. So, yeah, I'm throwing that out there, guys, just to make your head just explode.
I never heard that before. That's pretty interesting.
No.
So, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that was the script that came from the government. All this stuff, they're little by little getting us ready to open our minds to, hey, man, they've been among us a long time. And guess what? No one's going to complain or say, well, that's treason. You guys lied to us.
There's got to be like, well, we knew it all along, but we just needed you to.
We didn't want to scare the shit out of you.
Right. So I'm always playing something at the shop, weird on the TV. Like Tribulations 99 is my new one that I've been playing. It's this weird, documentary where this guy's like, hey, let's just create the most obscene things and mix it together in a film. So, what's that? Oh, the wife saying she enjoyed these motorcycle gloves that were leather and they had bones on them, like the stitched in bones that glue in the dark. Mm-hmm. And these things were like $140. They were so badass. If I had a motorcycle, of course I would have kept them.
So you needed to be thin and on a motorcycle.
Yeah,
so you
man.
could cruise with your silk shirt and your bone gloves.
I don't see too many people on motorcycles though. So
yeah,
at least not out here. But yeah, so I like shadow boxes that I put things into and hang them on the wall. Right. But I don't think they're weird enough just for people to look at.
Right.
But yeah, man, it's just a never ending. Things come in and they go out, and it's just hard to really fathom what I've sold that I really bonded with, because I don't want to bond with something and have to sell it.
Yeah, it's hard. It's definitely hard.
Well, see, I was going to ask you a question about that, but you kind of just answered it. I was going to say, I was going to ask if you had anything in the shop over the years that was just so hard to part with, or maybe you finally did, or maybe you still haven't parted with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did get a bobblehead from my boss from the Red Door, Pete Hanning. The store or that place, he retired. They shut down the Red Door in Fremont. But he had this beautiful bobblehead Rainier bottle, with the legs where they're running through the forest, Rainier. Mm-hmm. And he gave that to me as my I helped him do some things. So I had that in the shop and people wanted to buy it. So I put $2,000 on it just because I didn't want to bond, but I wanted to stare at it in the shop.
Yeah.
Right? And so I thought, hey, this would defeat the whole purpose of someone saying, oh, come on, man, why isn't that for sale? But now they would go, why is it $2,000? Why are you charging that price? So you can't win by having things you want in the shop. So I just leave them in my office at home. So
Right.
But I think Suze from the Rusty Nail, she had one she sold she found one at one of her cool find shops where she goes to find all her cool stuff. I'm still amazed at her shop. So her style is completely different than my style, but man, she's got some cool man cave items.
Yeah. When I went there, she had these these posters. It was I think it was Lone Ranger.
Oh right, yeah.
And Tonto, these big like life-size posters. Those were freaking cool.
Yeah, she finds cool stuff. And then of course, did you ever hit the Green Lantern? That cool place in between Pacific Beach and Ocean Shores?
No, I didn't even know it was there. Wow.
Oh, that's a cool little spot.
Well, next time I'm down that way, I'm gonna hit all the spots.
Yeah, man, you gotta definitely go by the Green Lantern.
So
yeah, I just it's cool, and it was nice. I've been closed since the 4th of July. I open back up tomorrow.
Right.
I guess I need a little me time.
Yeah, you always got to get yourself some downtime. Got to recharge. Yeah. So basically, you've been doing this for a long time.
I've been picking for a long time.
Yeah, so you probably built a pretty good network of hot spots to store at, and
people that are always helping me out and throwing me a bone here and there.
Right.
Yeah. So we just scored a from Bill and Terry pony in one of those quarter ponies they're outside the grocery stores.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, scored one of those.
Cool.
So that'll be up and running. I think we're going to put it in the shop just for people to be able to wear hats or whatever and get their picture taken on the pony.
Take a picture with it.
Nice. But you got to sign a waiver, I'm not going to get.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. So what's in your years of picking and stuff? What is that one holy grail piece that you've never come across, but is out there somewhere?
There was someone in Green Lake, I think. This came out on the news probably about 3 months ago. They bought a stitching packet, right? And they opened it up, and inside this basket, underneath a bunch of needles and things, was this white big bag that said 100% pure, and it was a bag of Colombian cocaine. So I think that would be my favorite find of and it was some old lady, I think, and she called the police, and it was so someone's either sweating and hiding, trying to figure out where they put their stash that they owe somebody, But oh my gosh, that's
yeah, it's funny. You hear those stories about like kilos washing up on shore and stuff. Like,
oh yeah,
somebody lost a hand or something for that.
oh
like,
no, yeah. I knew guys in the Air Force in Florida that one guy was on a boat out off the area in Florida, and his buddy on the boat, and he ran into something, and he picked it up, and it was a big old hay bale of marijuana, but inside the marijuana was cocaine. And he turned to his buddies and said, "Here's your life preserver. Swim back."
Yeah.
Swim back, and he took off to Bermuda. So
he just took it and went.
Yeah, he's like, "Screw you guys, I'm out. I'm going to be a millionaire." I think to change the subject from that, though, my best find at a thrift store was at the U2 show in Canada, probably 3 years ago. The day we were coming back, this guy had a hangover and he opened up the shop late. I kept calling and harassing him, saying, "Dude, when are you going to open?" Because in through the window was this beautiful totem pole.
Right.
And it was probably 5 feet tall, and it's hanging on the wall. And so the wife and I, as we're waiting outside patiently for him, we decided that's what we're getting. So we got it for, I could spend $1,000. He wanted something like, in American, I think it was $1,500. But the thing is, it's the coolest thing ever. And it was kind of sketchy getting in through the border, but other than that, yeah, we got it through. But that was my coolest find ever, I think, because we ended up paying around $700 American for it. Right. Because I thought we only had 1,000 Canadian at the time. Yeah. And the guy said it was his buddy's grandpa's off Vancouver Island. So it's got numbers on it, and I haven't gotten it checked out yet. I really need to do that, but that's my coolest find, I think. Is this a little bit of First Nation history, you know?
Very cool.
Yeah.
So is that like a nice piece of home decor now?
Yeah, we have it in our living room. It's our vibe.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. It's under program poster, so yeah.
So how much stuff like carries over from the shop to home, like design and decoration wise?
Life's good about finding things that we buy for the shop, but then we realize we can use it.
Right.
Yes, but then we end up taking something and getting rid of it because we don't want to be those people that you walk in and there's things falling from the ceiling.
Right.
We leave that at the shop. We don't want to leave that at home.
Right. All right.
But yeah, we do a good job of
keep it separate. Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard though. It's hard to go. I mean, it's not an easy job. I love doing it though. So that's probably why it's never ending.
It's definitely fun.
Yeah.
And it can be very.
So you can't just sit around. You always got to be looking for new stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, over the last couple of years, I started, reselling. Initially I was doing just like eBay stuff online. But pretty soon, like, I've accumulated such a collection that I'm getting ready to open a booth at an antique mall.
Oh, nice.
So that's going to be me getting my feet wet there and
man,
getting in the game a little bit. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've been doing eBay for a while now, but I feel like I want to have a physical little space and make it my own,
Good for you, man.
I personally kind of prefer the in-person sales like that and shopping around for things rather than on the internet. I mean, you can still find cool stuff that way and have it shipped to your house, but it's something special about like going somewhere and finding something like, I found this. I found it.
Yeah,
no one, or someone else found it. They passed on it, but I found this and now it's mine.
Exactly. If you buy something, like, actually holding the object, touching it, you know what I mean? Like, it's
more satisfying.
Yeah, there's a chemical that goes to your brain and says, "Buy it, man. Come on."
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
comic books. The smell of like an old comic book. Is
be careful with some of the smells, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you gotta be careful with smells all the time, anyways. But yeah.
I've probably mentioned on the show. I like to look for special albums, and CDs that you can't find in any old place. I found an imported Rage Against the Machine Live and Rare album, and I just felt so special. It was the one and only time I've seen that out while hunting. Right. So yeah, it's just something that's different about that as opposed to just go search for this thing that I want online.
Right.
I call it treasure.
Right.
Go treasure hunting.
It just popped in my head. I have bought quite a bit of religious items, and one was a prayer bench. Was at an estate sale out here in Ocean Shores. Right. Which thank you, Christine, for buying it, and Fred. But it was a prayer bench, and I had it right where you would run your credit card, so you'd pray for a better deal.
Right. Well, hey, at Nate's Vintage, you're not going to get a better deal. I know I got hooked up with some awesome deals with some really cool stuff. Probably going to get ready to wrap up here soon, but before we do, tell everybody where the shop is, where to find you online, and all the important info. So if anybody makes the trip out, they could find you and stop by and say hi.
Right on, man. Well, thanks for having me, guys. I am on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and Tumblr. I have a web page, but the funny thing is that the emails, if you send them out, I don't get them. GoDaddy's somehow screwed me over on my emails. Anyway, the wife's saying enough of that. So, I'm open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Mondays. I have Tuesday, Wednesdays off. I'd love to see you guys. I'm on 339 Damon Road. Sorry, I'm not used to doing this kind of thing. I'm not used to plugging my own stuff. So if you're coming into Ocean Shores, just look for the big satellite, because I'm listening to everything you're doing. That's where I'm at. Where you see the big satellite across from the high school, that's where Nate's Vintage is. We're part of Coast Communications. So our building is connected to their building. So we get people who are paranoid that come in the shop and go, man, what is that outside, man?
It's literally right when you pull into town.
Yeah, that's right.
Right there.
Right when you take the curve off to the left side, you'll see Nate's Vintage, a big billboard. So man,
it's a big, cool retro looking sign too.
Yeah, the white kind of neat. So I'm proud of her. Her artistic skills are killing me.
That's really great that you two work together. That's awesome that she's helping you
on Saturdays. But man, she's a rock star. I couldn't do it without her. She comes in and makes sure everything's nice and clean, and she does a lot for the shop. So huge props.
Awesome. And that's so pretty much just search for Nate's Vintage on social media and
follow me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm posting every day at natesvintage.com.
All right. Well, you guys hear that? Check it out. Go back a couple episodes, listen to me raving about it, and over at thestevestrout.com, I posted some pictures and stuff from the shop. And hopefully I get Nate to share his UFO picture. And if it's cool with him, I'll show you guys when I get around to it. But that's pretty interesting. Nate, thank you for visiting and hanging out, and come back and hang out again, and we'll definitely come see you again soon.
Yeah, thank you very much, man. I couldn't tell you the last time I've been to Ocean Shores, but when I do, I'm going to come see you.
Yeah, please do. I'll be here with open arms for you, man.
I will, man.
Yes.
Nanu.
Be well, buddy.
Take care, man. Cheers.
Peace.
Greetings. It is I, Lilith Von Bloodworth from Mondo Creepy. You're listening to the Steve and Crypto Show.
All right, that was a great conversation with Nate. It was really cool hearing a little more about his history. I mean, I'd been to the shop and I knew about the shop and what he has there. And like I said, it literally feels like being inside my fucking head, like in my imagination. That's the best way I could describe the place. It's pretty cool. Anybody who's been on the coast here and went to Ocean Shores, Washington, or any locals, if you've been there and been to this shop, hit me up. I want to talk about it. Tell me some of the cool shit that you've seen or got there. But yeah, thanks, Nate. Head to his shop, visit his shop online. Don't forget, go vote for us on the podcast awards. podcastawards.com. Let's get on the ballot. Let's get our name out there.
That's right. Anyone, listening, please check out buyusacoffee.com/SteveCrypto.
Buymeacoffee.com.
Buymeacoffee.com/SteveCrypto. You have until July 31st to enter the raffle, and the winner again is going to get a great prize pack from Steve and myself, and you get to come on the show and talk with us. So we are looking forward to it. Whoever the winner is, we'd love to have you on.
Yeah, we want to talk. Come visit us. Go visit buymeacoffee.com/SteveCrypto and all the other cool stuff we told you about. We thank you guys as always for listening. We've been the Steve and Crypto Show, and we have a fun episode coming next week, so stay tuned.
That's right. Thank you for listening, guys. See you next time.